LGB. 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 LGB.
They say LGB everywhere. I go LGB. What it means, I don't know. LGB, whatever it is. LGB, Kamala, help me, please, please.
Alrighty then.
I like you. LGB.
That's let's go, Brandon. Right?
LGB.
This means let's go, Brandon.
No. LGB.
Sounds like let's go, Brandon. I guess.
LGB. All right, let's go, Brandon.
I am Cornholio.
Chant LGB. Right wing and left wing. LGB. Go, you know the thing. LGB. If you don't sing that back. LGB. And you ain't black. LGB.
Let's go, Brandon.
LGB.
Let's go, Brandon.
LGB.
Let's go, Brandon.
FJB. Let's go, Brandon.
I'm Joe Biden, and I forgot this message.
Greetings, my dear friends, and welcome to another episode of Reading Epic Threads. I'm your host, Patrick Gunnels, joining you from Houston, Texas, this March 6th, 2024 at 5:46 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I would like to continue to apologize for, number one, skipping Reading Epic Threads as often as I have been doing lately. It's just the taking care of business while Ashley is still recovering. It puts a lot more on my plate, but Ashley's doing great. We're really excited about having babies sooner rather than later. And, I'm having a really good time being the kids' only option. So now, right after we brought Ashley home, we've been giving the children who are 4 and 3, so little bitty, explaining to them, you can't jump on mommy. You can't ask stuff of mommy. If you got to come to me. And they've been really great about it. It's been remarkable. So I'm really excited about that. So anyway, thank you everybody for your patience with me. Obviously, I'm doing this show at early morning before the kids wake up. Fingers crossed. I'm going to do one piece. So this will be a short episode of Reading Epic Threads, as I'm sure you expected. Don't forget to get your orange infused. Oh God, it's just the greatest scent ever. Orange infused angel paste, the best lotion the world has ever made. Made by patriots, for patriots, food-grade plant oils, invented by my sister Barbara, manufactured by her at her home in Spring, Texas. The results are amazing. Go to angelpaste.com, check out the testimonials, or go to epicthreads.com, especially if you're planning on ordering internationally. You can do an international order through epicthreads.tv. Epicthreads.tv, sorry, not epicthreads.com. If I said epicthreads.com, I'm sorry. All right, your skin will drink it up. Let's get to Erik Carlson's piece, The Mystery of Julian Assange. From badlands.substack.com, The Mystery of Julian Assange. At this point, I'm questioning everything, by Erik Carlson. When I make the statement, nothing is exactly as it appears, some may hear it and think it's about as obvious as saying water is wet. It's an obvious statement, but do we really believe it? It's exhausting, following the twists and turns of the narratives and storylines being pushed from both sides. At times, I get tired and maybe even lazy and think, okay, this person I trust said this thing that sounds reasonable, and frankly, I'm too tired to look at it from every angle, so I'm just going to take it at face value. I think that this probably happens more often than any of us would admit or even understand. It happens even though we are fully aware we are living through a fifth-generation war where everything should be questioned and almost nothing is exactly as it appears. For example, I believe the mass indoctrination into believing that artificial intelligence is the cure-all of everything ailing the world is a total scam. So far, with what we've experienced with it, I'd say AI is probably closer to mentally challenged than genius. I'm not saying it doesn't have the potential to do great things someday, but what we are being presented with today, and how it is being nefariously used, is a joke. It's as if they're spending billions of dollars to create a supercomputer system that is dumber than the average TikTok influencer while being more biased than a CNN panel. I believe that cabal-controlled AI companies are being driven up in the stock market to launder money. Again, I believe it's a scam. On the same day that Google's AI was being ridiculed for being shamefully woke, NVIDIA reported blowout numbers from their involvement in AI. Things just don't add up. With any new groundbreaking technology, usage is supposed to continually go up over time, but with ChatGPT, the opposite seems to be happening. ChatGPT was launched on November 30th, 2022, and usage started to decline just 3 months later. And it's not just usage that is down, it's the trust and appreciation for AI in general. In a poll taken by Macro between December of 2023 and January of 2024, they found that 74% of Americans are afraid of losing their jobs to AI. Does this sound like a nation that wants more AI? In December of 2022, right after ChatGPT first rolled out, Pew polls found that 38% of Americans were more concerned than excited about AI, with 15% being more excited than concerned. The rest were neutral in their feelings. By August of 2023, just 8 months later, the number of concerned grew from 38% to 52%, and only 10% of Americans were still more excited than concerned about AI. Does this sound like a country that just can't get enough AI? To me, it sounds like something being forced down our throats. It sounds like the U.S. government who does the opposite of what we want. We express our concerns for the borders, so they double up on woke policies instead. We state that we don't want to fund Ukraine anymore, so Congress pulls an all-nighter to pass a bill to send billions more to Ukraine. We know the people who run the world, the cabal, are eugenicists and seek to depopulate the world. Would creating AI that replaces human jobs with AI not help usher in an environment that would allow the depopulation process to take hold? If the cabal opened the borders to allow people to do the manual labor jobs that AI can't do, it would allow a lot of the American middle class to be phased out through AI. This would create a feudal system where the peasants serve the noble elites. The peasants would own nothing and live off of and work the land of the noble elites. It sounds a lot like the World Economic Forum's agenda. It sounds a lot like BlackRock buying up residential homes to turn around and rent them out. You will own nothing. If you were receiving an unemployment check during COVID, chances are they won't have a need for you in their future world. You are not an essential worker. You don't clean the elites' pools or mow their lawns or deliver their groceries or restaurant orders. If you were shut down during COVID, you are likely the people who will be phased out by AI. I'm a big fan of Elon Musk. I think he's a patriot and will play a big role in Trump's next term. The obvious attempts to destroy him by the deep state cannot be ignored. But with that out of the way, I don't believe things over at X, Twitter, are exactly as they're being portrayed. I don't think it is the free speech platform that many want to believe it is. Yes, you can tell the truth on X, but will it be heard by anyone? If your avatar has Trump or anything Trump related, your message will likely go unseen by most. I believe Musk is pushing specific truth-telling accounts on X, and they don't include any openly MAGA or Q accounts. People like Mike Benz, Dom Luker, and Tucker Carlson are effectively getting their messages out on X. All of these people seem to be Trump supporters and want Trump back in office, but none of them are gushing over Trump. Elon Musk understands that most X users aren't going to listen to someone wearing a MAGA hat or someone who decodes Q drops. Musk's chosen few and Anons may be saying the exact same things, But many people have been conditioned to reject anything MAGA and Q. During Tucker Carlson's 2-hour interview with Putin, Trump's name was brought up once or twice. It was shocking how little Trump was a part of the conversation. A few days later, Tucker had an epic interview with Mike Benz. In that interview, Benz exposed more in 60 minutes than mainstream media has exposed in the past 60 years. Yet the focus wasn't on Trump. It was on the corrupt politicians and government agencies that have been intentionally stripping away Americans' rights while censoring their voices. In both cases, Trump was intentionally left out of the conversations. The brainwashed people who shut down once they heard the name Trump didn't have an opportunity to shut down. Without the cues to shut down, they actually listened. To people with Trump derangement syndrome, every time Trump opens his mouth, it sounds like adults on the Peanuts cartoons talking. As Trump talks, TDS victims hear in their heads, "Orange man bad, orange man bad." Tucker Carlson was so effective in presenting Putin as a reasonable and sane human being that I believe the deep state had to immediately kill his imprisoned opponent, an MI6 asset, blame it on Putin, and start pushing a narrative of Russian space nukes. We wouldn't be experiencing these narratives if Putin hadn't presented himself so well. By the way, assuming it's true with news of an attempted assassination of Tucker while in Moscow, I'd be surprised to find that the CIA wasn't involved. Not long ago, Tucker Carlson did an interview with Roseanne Barr, and in it he was very direct in his disdain for Mike Pompeo. After taking office in 2021, in 2017, Trump put Pompeo in charge of the CIA and later made him his Secretary of State. Tucker has repeatedly talked about how Pompeo, while the director of the CIA, planned the assassination of Julian Assange. Tucker has made it seem as if an assassination attempt was made or a plan was put in place to kill Assange. Likely, if Pompeo actually put together a plan at all, he probably asked his people to game plan a scenario where the CIA needed to take out Assange. While I'm not defending Pompeo, there is a big difference between attempting to kill someone and thinking about how you would do it if it was deemed necessary. What I'm about to say may be way off base and may be easily put to rest at some point in the near future. But when was the last time anyone saw Julian Assange alive? I'm not saying Assange is dead, but this is a legitimate question. We now live in an age where AI can be used to create an image of anyone. Even fake videos can be made. Yet I haven't seen any proof of life from Julian Assange in quite some time. But honestly, with the technology we now have, even a video of him lifting weights in the prison exercise yard is proof of nothing. To wit, recently I watched a documentary on Netflix about a woman who was apparently stalking her ex-boyfriend, his ex-wife, and his ex-girlfriend, in fact, threatening to kill them. At one point, it appeared she even burned down the house of the ex-girlfriend and later shot her in the leg. The only problem is she, the alleged stalker, had been dead for a couple of years, and one of the people who claimed to be stalked by her actually killed her. The harassing texts, emails, and violence were proof she was alive, but she was not. In December, Tucker Carlson went to England to interview Julian Assange in prison. From what I understand, the interview was never aired. Very recently, Tucker interviewed Assange's wife and mentioned that the interview wasn't allowed to be recorded. So, essentially, Tucker had a conversation with Julian Assange, presenting a brief timeline of Julian Assange for our purposes. As a result of releasing the U.S. Army intelligence catalyst analyst Chelsea Manning's footage of a 2007 U.S. airstrike in Baghdad in 2010, Assange took refuge by seeking asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, England in 2012. In 2013, while still at the Ecuadorian embassy, Assange and others at WikiLeaks tried to help Edward Snowden flee from U.S. law enforcement after the United States canceled Snowden's passport, stranding him in Russia. Assange and others created a distraction to assist Snowden in leaving Russia, before eventually advising him to stay in Russia, where they thought it was safest for him. In July of 2016, Assange released DNC emails and documents that showed how they railroaded Bernie Sanders in favor of Hillary Clinton. A few months later, he released the infamous John Podesta emails that were extremely strange and involved a lot of what the FBI considers to be pedophile code words. In March 2017, WikiLeaks began releasing the largest leak of CIA documents in history, codenamed Vault 7. The documents included details of the CIA's hacking capabilities and software tools used to break into smartphones, computers, and other internet-connected devices. Interesting that Assange was able to release all this information while in the embassy, with the CIA knowing exactly where he is. The CIA that Assange said had all the capabilities to hack the devices he mentioned. Assange's internet was only cut by the Ecuadorian government for 6 weeks following the release of the Podesta emails. Why were the Podesta emails the only releases worthy of cutting his internet? They will say it's because the election was going on. In short, everyone knew where Assange was, yet he was able to assist Snowden release the DNC and Podesta emails, then the CIA Vault 7 documents, and the big bad CIA were helpless to stop him. Seems far-fetched. Eventually, Assange was arrested and transferred to a British prison in 2019, where he apparently still sits today. Assange and his lawyers are fighting the extradition process that would send Assange to the U.S., where he faces 18 charges from the U.S. government for illegally receiving and disclosing classified information. During Tucker Carlson's interview with Julian Assange's wife, he asked why England was holding her husband basically without any criminal charges against him. She smirked at him and said the UK views itself as a lapdog of the US. Honestly, after seeing her speak, I don't trust her at all. My instincts tell me there is something not right about her. According to her, we are to believe that the UK is America's lapdog when we know it's the other way around. How many hours have I spent proving that fact? Also, we are to believe that Assange's mind and body are fading fast in the British prison, where the living conditions are dangerous and inhumane, yet he and his lawyers are fighting to keep him where he is. It makes no sense to me. According to a Reuters article on February 20th, 2024, quote, his colleague Mark Summers said there was evidence there had been a truly breathtaking plan to kidnap or murder Assange while he was in the Ecuadorian embassy, and former U.S. President Trump had asked for detailed options to kill him. In 2021, Yahoo News reported CIA officials had drawn up options for Trump's administration for dealing with Assange while he was in the London embassy. Quote, senior CIA officials requested plans. The president himself requested on being provided with options on how to do it, and sketches were even drawn up, the lawyer said on Tuesday. Assange's lawyers say he could be given a sentence as long as 175 years, but likely to be at least 30 to 40 years. U.S. prosecutors have said it would be no more than 63 months. If Assange wins this case, a full appeal hearing will be held. If he loses, his only remaining option would be at the European Court of Human Rights. His wife has said his lawyers would apply to that court for an injunction if necessary, end quote. So, we are to believe that Tucker Carlson, who seems to be a huge supporter of Trump, is shining a light on Pompeo's plan to kill Assange, while at the same time it is being reported that Trump is the one who asked Pompeo to do it. It doesn't make any sense. By the way, Assange didn't appear in court or even watch the court proceeding remotely because he was too ill. No public appearance of him. When are we going to see this guy? Even another grainy shot of him behind a window. Julian Assange's wife, Stella, likened his case to the case of Alexei Navalny, the Russian opposition activist who died in prison recently while serving a 3-decade sentence. Does anyone believe the Navalny death happened the way it's being reported? The guy was in prison for planning a coup backed by Britain's MI6, and he just so happened to die right after Putin did a 2-hour interview that made him look like a reasonable person, not the tyrannical dictator we are made to believe. Are we to believe that Stella Assange is this ignorant? Let's look at some facts. Trump's administration added 17 new charges against Assange. Make sense of this. According to Stella Assange, England is America's lapdog, yet Trump never attempted to free him from prison, nor did he force England to extradite Assange to America. If Trump wanted to prosecute Assange and England is his lapdog, why didn't they release Assange to him? Tucker Carlson is a Trump supporter, yet he glorifies Assange as a patriot and indirectly points the finger at Trump for planning to have Assange killed. This doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. The only thing that makes sense about Tucker canonizing Assange into sainthood is the idea that he is simply drawing attention to Assange, attention that will later reveal itself as being important to the awakening and exposure process. Trump could have protected Assange at any point during his 4 years in office. If Assange was a patriot, why didn't he seek asylum at the White House between 2017 and 2021? Honestly, I've always seen Assange as a bit of a white hat, but that's just because of the information that he released on Hillary Clinton and John Podesta. Releasing damning information on Hillary Clinton and John Podesta isn't proof that Assange is a patriot, just as stalking texts and emails seeming to come from someone isn't proof that they are alive. As of this moment, I no longer assume that Julian Assange is a patriot. I'm not even convinced he's alive. I will continue to follow this situation with the assumption that Trump and Assange aren't on the same team. Again, unless I see proof of life, I will continue to question whether or not Assange is alive, if Assange is alive, until I see Trump, Tucker, and Assange having a belly laugh together over how they fooled everyone. I will assume Assange is not a white hat. The facts just don't support the idea that he is. If we consider the information that Assange released on Hillary Clinton and John Podesta, has anything really come of it? Are either of them behind bars? If we look at the information drop from another angle, it's possible Clinton and Podesta had been chosen by the cabal to be their scapegoats, thrown under the bus, and Assange did their handiwork. I don't know. I can't even rule out the idea that Hillary Clinton has cut a deal with the White Hats to name names in an attempt to save her own life. It's also not out of the question to wonder if Assange only released the information he has released because it drew attention to him. It could all be about attention, and in reality, he may not actually care about the information he drops as long as it gets views. Is he a whistleblower, a black hat, or an attention freak? Who knows who Assange is really afraid of? Is it the deep state or the white hats? There's no way for me to know. Therefore, I will no longer give him my undeserved trust. I am not saying Assange is a black hat, just that he needs to be looked at from every possible angle. What I've learned in this Assange situation is that not everything I believe to be true today is in fact true. There are things I believed to be true 2 weeks ago that I no longer believe. 2 weeks ago, I would have worn a t-shirt that said "Free Assange" after watching Julian Assange's wife in the Tucker Carlson interview. I don't even assume Assange is a patriot anymore. I could be proven wrong tomorrow for how I am cautiously viewing Assange today, and I'm fine with being proven wrong. It's impossible to be right about everything in this fifth-generation war we're currently living through. What doesn't make sense is to be overly trusting of people who haven't really earned our trust. It's better to be too cautious in handing out our trust than not cautious enough. Have I ever heard Trump say Assange is a patriot? No. Have I ever heard Assange praise Trump? No. Why would I blindly trust Assange? People may be thinking, well, who and what do you trust? I trust America needs God. I trust America needs Trump. I trust there are a lot more good people in America than bad. I trust America needs to become free of its mind control. This should be enough for now. Why should I be in such a hurry to trust people I don't know? Let's recap the past couple of weeks, and you will surely recognize a common theme. Tucker interviewed Putin, who accused the CIA of all the things we know the CIA does, including things like blowing up underwater pipelines, color revolutions, and assassinations. Putin even mentioned that Tucker tried to join the CIA as a younger man. Shortly after the interview, Putin's opponent mysteriously died in prison. Tucker interviewed Mike Benz, who talked about how the CIA created and uses Google and Facebook to control and censor Americans. Then Tucker interviewed Assange's wife, Stella, and talked about how the CIA planned the assassination of her husband through Mike Pompeo. Then a New York Times story came out about the CIA being involved in Ukraine since 2014. And finally, the story came out that there was an assassination attempt made on Tucker Carlson himself while in Moscow. The would-be assassin claims to have been recruited by Ukraine. Was the CIA involved? Could this all be about drawing attention to the CIA? We'll likely find out soon enough. And that's our show for today. Don't forget to get your hands on a bottle of orange essential oil infused angel paste. It's the best thing I've ever smelled. It's the best thing your skin could ever want. Go to angelpaste.com. Use promo code Shapiro to pry $1 from my grasping hands. International people, go to epicthreads.tv. You can also order from epicthreads.tv if you're here in the States. It actually helps me out if you do that, but angelpaste.com is easiest to remember. Your skin will drink it up. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for your patience with me. I'm juggling a lot of stuff right now, but Ashley is doing a lot better. Very pleased about that. But she's not allowed to lift anything more than 10 pounds for like literally a whole month. So that puts me in a position where I'm lifting a lot of kids. Anyway, let us pray. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow.
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.